Governor Pataki, 4 years ago this month, you called it quits in a race for the presidency in 2012, but now you're back. Mitt Romney declined to run this time because he believed that the party needed new blood. Does he have a point?
I think he needs somebody who hasn't been a career politician and who's been out of office for a while. I think the last 8 years in the private sector have allowed me to see government from the outside, and I think that is a positive thing. Yes, I thought about running 4 years ago. I was ready to lead, but I wasn't ready to run. But I look at this country today, and I look at how divided we are. I look at how politicians are always posturing and issuing sound bites, but never solving problems. And what I did in New York was bring people together, an overwhelmingly Democratic state. But I was able to get Democrats to support the most conservative, sweeping policy changes in any state in America. And when I look at Washington today, we need to bring us together. We need to solve problems. We need to rebuild our military so we can stand up to radical Islam. We need to get our economy growing much faster by throwing out the corrupt tax code and lowering the rates. We have to end crony capitalism in Washington, where the lobbyists and the powerful can get tax breaks and tax credits, and the American people don't get laws in their interest. I can do that. And I can do it regardless of what the makeup of Congress is, because I did it in New York State. So we need new leadership. Yes, I will be that new leader.
All right, let's talk about ISIS and the threat to the homeland that we have seen growing in recent months. This goes to Governor Pataki. 69 ISIS-inspired terrorists have been arrested in this country in homeland plots, and the FBI assures us that there are likely many more to come. The president is reluctant to label these terrorists Islamic extremists, but you've said that you have no problem with that label. But then comes the hard part. So here's the question. How far are you willing to go to root out this problem here at home? Would you put mosques, for example, potentially under surveillance? And keep in mind that conservatives are increasingly concerned in this country with religious liberty.
Martha, religious liberty doesn't include encouraging a fellow American to engage in violent jihad and kill an American here. That is not protected free speech. That is not protected religious belief. That is like shouting fire in a crowded theater, and that is illegal. And I would do everything in our power not just to go after those who are here, who we know who are here, before they can radicalize other Americans to carry out attacks. And it's not just the ones they've arrested. Think back to Garland, Texas. But for that Texas police officer, we could have had a mass murder. We have to shut down their internet capability. We have to shut down whether or not they're in prisons preaching or in mosques preaching. No radical Islam that is allowed to engage in encouraging violence against Americans, that is not protected speech. But let me just add one thing about ISIS over there. We have got to destroy their training camps and recruiting centers. I was governor of New York on September 11th. I know that we are at greater risk today than at any time since then of another attack. We have got to destroy their training camps over there before they can attack us here. I don't agree that we're going to occupy and spend another decade or $1 trillion. What we need to do is destroy their ability to attack us here over there and then get out. You know, I have 2 sons, both served. One is a Marine officer in Iraq, one is an Army officer in Afghanistan. I do not want to see one parent or loved one worrying about getting a call in the middle of the night. I would not place one American life at risk unless it was absolutely necessary. But to destroy ISIS, it is necessary.
Governor Pataki, 3-term governor of New York. Is he right, Governor Jindal?
I think he is right. I don't think you expand entitlements when so many people are dependent on government and when the money the federal government is offering is going to be taken away from you after just a couple of years. But getting back to Martha's question about how we end dependency, do we have to have a cultural change? The answer is no. And I know this because when I ran for governor of New York, 1 in 11 of every man, woman, and child in the state of New York was on welfare. On welfare. Think about that. And people said you can't win, you can't change the culture. But I knew that good people who wanted to be a part of the American dream had become trapped in dependency because the federal government and the state government had made it in their economic interest not to take a job because the benefits if they didn't work were better. I changed that. We put in place mandatory workfare, but we allowed people to keep health care. We put in place child
Yes or
care
no?
support.
Would you have expanded Obamacare in the state of New York had you been governor at that time?
No, it should be repealed. And by the way, when I left, there were over 1 million fewer people on welfare in New York State than when I took office.
Okay.
Replacing dependency with opportunity.
I want to get back to Planned Parenthood, and this question goes to Governor Pataki. Governor Pataki, you're the only pro-choice candidate running. A Republican holding that position has not won a single primary in 35 years. With the recent Planned Parenthood videos that we have all seen, shedding new light on abortion practices, I know that you have said that you would defund Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
But has this story changed your heart?
My heart has not changed because I've always been appalled by abortion. I'm a Catholic. I believe life begins at conception. But as Bill said earlier, Roe v. Wade has been the law for 42 years, and I don't think we should continue to try to change it. But what we can do is defund Planned Parenthood. And by the way, put in place an absolute permanent ban on any taxpayer dollars ever being used to fund abortions. Also, when you look at these videos, they are horrific and show just a hideous disrespect for life. What else we can do is that we should believe in science. You know, Hillary Clinton's always saying how Republicans don't follow science. Well, they're the ones not listening to the scientists today, because doctors say that at 20 weeks, that is a viable life inside the womb. And at that point, it's a life that we have the right to protect, and I think we should protect. So I would pass legislation outlawing abortion after 20 weeks. It is Hillary, it is Biden, it is the others who insist on allowing abortion well into the life of a viable infant that is wrong and that should be stopped.
Governor Pataki.
Bill, I defeated Mario Cuomo. And the first day in office, my first executive order, I revoked every one of the executive orders that he had enacted over the prior 12 years. I would do that to Barack Obama's executive orders. But I'd sign a second one, as I did in New York as well, having a hard hiring freeze on adding new employees except for the military or defense-related positions. I signed that executive order. When I left, the workforce in New York State had been reduced by over 15%. We can do that in Washington. I will do that in Washington.
Thank you all. To Governor Pataki, closing statement now.
With all the candidates, why me? My background is different. I look at Washington and I hear the talk and I see the promises, and it seems nothing ever changes. Washington gets bigger, taxes get higher, and the American people feel more distanced from our government. I had the opportunity not just to run, but to win in the deep blue state of New York 3 times. And not only did I win, but I then worked with a Democratic legislature to put in place the most sweeping conservative reforms of any state in America, taking us from the most dangerous state in America to the 4th safest, reducing our welfare rolls by over 1 million and replacing over 700,000 private sector jobs. I can govern by bringing people together. And also, I've been tested in a way no one else has. I was governor on September 11th, and I'm proud of my leadership in bringing New York through that times. And when I left, we were stronger, we were safer, and we were more united than at any time in my lifetime. We need to bring people together in Washington. The talk has got to stop. The action has got to begin. People can promise you something. I delivered in the blue state of New York. I will deliver for the American people if I have the privilege of leading this country.
Thank you.